Got myself a job.
Cow punching?
Marshalling.
Marshalling? In Tombstone? Well, good luck to you, Mr.
Earp. Wyatt Earp.
Few films capture the spirit of the American West with the grace, humanity, and poetic beauty of My Darling Clementine. Released in 1946 and directed by the legendary filmmaker John Ford, this enduring masterpiece transcends the conventions of the traditional Western, transforming a familiar tale of lawmen and outlaws into something far more profound. Loosely inspired by the legend of Wyatt Earp and the infamous gunfight of the OK Corral, the film is not merely a retelling of historical events. Instead, it is a meditation on civilization, emerging from chaos, on duty and sacrifice, and on the timeless struggle between order and the lawlessness that helped shape the American frontier. At the center of it all is Henry Fonda's unforgettable portrayal of Wyatt Earp, a performance marked not by bravado or spectacle, but by quiet strength, integrity, and restraint. Under Ford's masterful direction, the vast landscapes of the Monument Valley become more than a backdrop. They become a character in their own right, embodying both the promise and the uncertainty of a nation still finding its identity. More than 75 years after its release, My Darling Clementine remains one of the most influential westerns ever made, a film whose legacy can be felt in countless movies that followed. Today, we're taking a closer look at this cinematic landmark and exploring why many critics and filmmakers consider it one of the finest achievements in the history of American cinema. The story behind My Darling Clementine is every bit as fascinating as the film itself. By the mid-1940s, John Ford had already established himself as one of Hollywood's premier filmmakers. But this project held a special significance. Ford often claimed that as a young man, he had met the real Wyatt Earp, who shared stories about life in Tombstone and the events surrounding the gunfight at the OK Corral. Whether those conversations unfolded exactly as Ford later remembered remains a subject of debate, but they undoubtedly shaped his personal vision of the American West and frontier. Rather than striving for strict historical accuracy, Ford sought something more elusive, the mythology of the West. His Tombstone is not a documentary recreation, but a poetic landscape where legends are born and civilization slowly emerges from the wilderness. This approach allowed Ford to create a film that feels timeless, elevating its characters into symbols of courage, honor, and progress. The production itself benefited greatly from the breathtaking vistas of Monument Valley, a location that would become synonymous with Ford's filmmaking. The towering rock formations and expansive horizons lend the film an almost mythic quality, reinforcing the idea that these events belong as much to the American folklore as they do to history. While John Ford's artistic vision shaped every frame of My Darling Clementine, the film also bears the unmistakable influence of producer Darryl F. Zanuck. As head of 20th Century Fox, Zanuck believed the story should appeal to a broad audience, and after Ford completed his original cut, he ordered additional scenes to be filmed and re-edited portions of the picture. Although film historians continue to debate which version best represents Ford's intentions, there is little doubt that Zanuck's support made the production possible, ensuring that the ambitious Western reached audiences around the world. The collaboration between Ford's poetic sensibilities and Zanuck's commercial instincts ultimately produced a film that has endured for generations.
And I nary found one word agin dancing. So we'll commence by having a dad-blasted good dance.
One of the film's most memorable moments, the church, social, and dance sequence, beautifully captures Ford's deeper themes. While the gunfight at the OK Corral often receives the most attention, Ford was equally interested in depicting the birth of a community and culture on the frontier. In many ways, the dance scene serves as the emotional heart of the film, illustrating a society taking its first step towards civilization.
Stop by here again.
Yet perhaps the true legacy of My
Yes, ma'am,
Darling
I sure will.
Clementine belongs not to any single individual, but to the extraordinary
Bye, ma'am.
collective of artists who brought the film to life. Henry Fonda's quiet dignity, Victor Mature's unforgettable Doc Holliday, Linda Darnell's tragic Chihuahua, Kathy Downs' gentle Clementine, Walter Brennan's menacing old man Clanton, and every member of the remarkable ensemble contributed performances of lasting humanity. Behind the camera stood John Ford's trusted collaborators, cinematographer Joseph McDonald, editor Dorothy Spencer, and composer Cyril J. Mockridge, and the countless craftsmen whose artistry transformed Monument Valley into one of the most iconic landscapes in cinema history. Together, they created images that have become woven into the fabric of American filmmaking. The influence of My Darling Clementine can hardly be overstated. Generations of filmmakers have cited John Ford's work as a foundational influence, including directors such as Martin Scorsese, Steven Spielberg, Francis Ford Coppola, and George Lucas. The film's visual style, emotional depth, and mythic storytelling helped define what the Western could be, inspiring classics ranging from Ford's own later works to the revisionist Westerns of the decades that followed. Perhaps no filmmaker was more profoundly influenced by Ford than Orson Welles, who famously remarked that he studied Ford's films repeatedly while preparing his own work. In the lead up to shooting Citizen Kane, Welles watched John Ford's stagecoach every night for a month with different technicians and department heads, studying its techniques and asking, how was this done? And why was this done? Welles admired Ford's mastery of visual storytelling, composition, and cinematic economy, qualities that are on full display throughout My Darling Clementine.
Got a warrant here for you and your sons. Charging the murder of James and Virgil Earp. There's also a charge of cattle rustling. I'm giving you a chance to submit to proper authority.
Will you come on right in here, Marshal, and serve your warrant?
Which one of you killed James?
I did. And the other one, too.
Today, the film endures not simply because of its famous gunfight or its legendary characters, but because it captures something essential about the American imagination. It is a story about the transformation of a rough frontier into a civilized society. More than a Western, My Darling Clementine is a testament to the enduring power of collaboration. It reminds us that the greatest films are never the work of one person alone, but of dedicated artists united by a shared vision.
Doc?
Nearly 80 years later, their work continues to inspire filmmakers and audiences alike.
Mighty nice, man.
standing as a timeless monument to the golden age of Hollywood and to the enduring legacy of John Ford and the remarkable company of storytellers who rode alongside him.
Maybe stop by here again.
Stop by the schoolhouse.
Yes, ma'am, I sure will. Well, goodbye, ma'am.
Goodbye.
Ma'am, I sure like that name. Clementine.